Welcome to BelkaSoft's webinar on practical AI in digital forensics and incident response. Today, BelkaSoft CEO Yuri Gubanov will walk you through how AI helps investigators manage overwhelming data volumes and how BelkaSoft tools let you bring AI into your workflow securely and efficiently.
Of chats and documents and emails, that's a huge pile of text-based information in your case. Reviewing large volumes of pictures, photos, and videos and audios is also a big bottleneck. And at the same time, most labs are working with limited staff, limited software licenses. Wherever I go, I hear that we don't have enough anything, enough stuff, enough software licenses, enough hardware. So that's a typical complaint. When a big case comes in, it's always a problem. And the backlogs are always growing. And I witnessed it in multiple countries, in many different laboratories. Whether it's a country in Asia or in America, the continent. And even here in Portugal, I visited one of the law enforcement laboratories, and they showed me some hard drives that are waiting for 2 years before even initially touched by the digital forensic investigator. So the 2 years, it's quite a lot, right? And after that, they will have to spend significant time analyzing the contents, because the drives, 1 terabyte drive is not a surprise. In my home, I have 3 drives. The biggest one is 10 terabytes. So in total, I have a capacity of 17 terabytes, which is huge. And imagine analyzing everything on this kind of a computer. It will take weeks, I believe. So how can AI help with all of that? So let's start with picture analysis. AI can solve and assist you with one of the heaviest analysis types in any investigations, because devices can contain thousands of photos or even hundreds of thousands of photos. Especially in my case, I store all the pictures that I ever taken. Of course, even on mobile device, even if on a new mobile device, you can easily find lots of photos, because device can inherit photo library from the previous device by restoring a backup or using a device transfer when someone buys a new device. So it's not a surprise, even on a new device, to see thousands or dozens of thousands of photos taken years ago. Manually reviewing these pictures is quite slow and costly, actually, because every your second has a price. AI-powered image classification can automatically do a lot. So they can sort content by categories. For example, they can flag weapons and drugs. They can find scanned documents, explicit material, without you even having to open a file, right? Facial recognition can also help. For example, you need to find who was present at some certain location, who appeared across different devices, whether a face matches some known individual. AI can help you here a lot. Actually, we had this AI picture analysis even before the large language model boom. But nowadays, when LLMs are multimodal, when they can process not just text, but also pictures and videos and so on, the accuracy raised a lot. So using LLMs for picture and video analysis also works with greater precision. There is also audio analysis. You know that now people, especially younger people, tend to send more voice messages than before. Parents here can confirm that the younger generation use much more voice messages. But still, there are also recorded calls, video files with spoken content, and of course, analyzing the entirety of all the audio content on a typical device is very time consuming if you do this one by one and manually. There is automatic speech recognition that can help you by converting audio into searchable, reviewable text. An investigator no longer has to listen to hours of recordings. Instead, they can run the automated analysis and enjoy the audio fully converted to text that you can search, you can filter, and you can use with technologies like BelkaGPT that I'll cover today as well. So speaking about BelkaGPT and LLMs in general, you know that LLMs made a route from just a research topic or just a toy to something that hundreds of millions of people use every day. I use a few AI services every day. I think like dozens of queries and hundreds of topics every month. I run deep research every few days. So I use them as a personal assistant, as a helper to my work. I generate pictures for some of Belkasoft posts, for example, in social networks and so on. By the way, it's interesting how you use AI. If you put to the chat which particular AI services you use and for what, it's going to be interesting to see. And if you use AI for digital forensics or cyber incident response, please put this your ideas of how to effectively use online services and offline services as well to the chat window of this webinar. Yeah, speaking about LLMs, what is great about those models is that you can ask them a question the same way that you could ask a colleague. For example, show me messages, help me to find messages where financial transactions are discussed, or did the device owner search for chemical compounds? The LLMs and new models, they understand what you are looking for. They do not require you to know the exact wording, exact application where the content lives. They will forgive you typos. They know synonyms and they will find the relevant information even if you made a typo, if the answer is hidden behind slang or synonyms of what you're looking for. And if you work with complex cases like financial fraud, organized crime, corporate misconduct, it's not just a convenience. It's like another pair of hands that you have in your lab, and this has basically no cost. However, of course, it's not all ponies and rainbows. There are a number of challenges. The one is the biggest one that I constantly hear from investigators and corporate security teams is that we want efficient AI, but we cannot use any public AI solutions. And of course, that's completely a legitimate expectation. Most AI tools on the market today are cloud dependent. They send your data to remote servers, and you have no control actually whether your data is sent to California, United States, or some island in Pacific Ocean where the data center stays, right? In standard commercial use and personal use, it can be acceptable. However, in digital forensics and in many cases in cyber incident response, you cannot do that. You work with evidence, which stores confidential data. You work under strict legal and procedural obligations. In many countries, it's just you are legally obliged to work on a disconnected machine. Sending case materials to a third party is not just a policy risk. In many jurisdictions, it can compromise integrity of the investigation entirely. So your evidence will be invalidated in a court if you work from a connected computer. Okay, so the question is now not whether to adopt AI, but because the efficiency gains are too significant to ignore. The question is how to adopt AI without creating new risks, new vulnerabilities in the process. So public cloud AI is not an option. And another thought, another idea that I frequently hear when I do presentations on the topic, people ask me, okay, Yuri, what would you recommend as a LLM offline model for us to build a system from scratch? How many parameters, what is here, what is there, how to tune this and that. The idea is to run and build and run AI themselves. Right? Yes, local deployment options exist. You can run open source models on your own infrastructure. You can use frameworks like Model Context Protocol, MCP, to let your AI models know about your local data sources, and this will be totally blind, right? It can work. However, it has its own complications. First, configuring a local AI deployment requires some expertise that forensic labs don't have and don't actually have to have, like model selection, various kind of precision testing, accuracy testing, hardware setup, context configuration, and keeping current, because models evolve and different parts of pipeline evolves. You can replace one part, it's going to be not compatible with the other part of the previous version, and so on and so forth. So you will need to maintain all this zoo of different technologies. It often means custom code that you write to connect those pieces together. And finally, actually, your tools are not necessarily aware of what you are doing with AI. So forensic tools were not designed with AI in mind. They may have limited APIs, rigid data models, or no programmatic interface at all. You will need to somehow connect your forensic tool and your external AI, what means that you will have to do exports, do imports, and again, whenever forensic tool updates or AI part is updated, incompatibility arises, and you have to tune this again and again. So that's overhead, which distracts you from your real work, which is investigation. And it's overhead. Instead of saving time, you start to vice versa, losing time. So what's the point? And my last point here is that do-it-yourself AI will be general purpose. You take a Llama CPP or GEM or whatever popular model you select, but it's not. It doesn't necessarily knows about your workflow. It has all the drawbacks that online models have. It tends to hallucinate. It cannot say that it didn't find anything when you ask about a specific topic. It wants to please you instead of giving you the truth, and so on and so forth. So I think that for digital forensics, we need a domain-specific AI developed specifically for digital forensics, and here where we have BelkaGPT. BelkaGPT is our offline AI assistant that is built in right inside our main product called BelkaSoft X. BelkaSoft has spent over 15 years serving the digital forensic community, so we know the requirements, we know constraints of our customers. So when we started designing BelkaGPT, we shaped it around the workflows and requirements that investigators face every day. So what can BelkaGPT do for you? So let's start from picture analysis. BelkaGPT can describe and classify pictures automatically. You can use built-in classifiers like weapons or tattoos or money, or you can create your own case-specific categories or workflow-specific or organization-specific categories. It's as easy as giving the technology a few words about what you're looking for, and it works surprisingly well, classifying pictures based on just 4 or 5 words that you give in your language. Doesn't necessarily have to be English. For audio and video, it can run automatic speech recognition. It will convert speech to text. And again, you can do keyword search, traditional keyword search, and you can use a BelkaGPT window for chatting about content of those audio and video files. Interesting new feature that is built in most recent version of BelkaSoft X is a chat topic detection. The product can detect topics of interest across all the chat data, and actually also emails and documents, and as well as for pictures, you can also define your custom classifier for topics to be found in the chats. And across all of it, BelkaGPT provides a natural language interface where you can ask questions about your case data directly. And you'll get answers based on your case data. So all the answers will have references to your case artifacts, not just taken out of something. So this is one of the tricks that we use to help technology not to hallucinate. Actually, this talk is not about features of BelkaGPT, because for that I have another webinar. You can request a recording of that webinar from sales@belkasoft.com. But I will show you some exciting examples of what the technology can help with and explain a few interesting points. For example, on this picture on this screen, you can see that I'm asking other pictures of a male sitting in a car. The product found one picture here, this one, and if you click this button, it will navigate you to another window called Artifacts, where you can see pictures, and this man will be selected. Notice the green box around his face because the face was detected on this picture. So what the answer says here, yes, there is a picture of a male sitting in a car on this picture, right? But also it's interesting that it says no other pictures were found. It gives you 2 more references. Why? Because the second image shows some Mercedes with a driver, but it's not quite clear what is the gender of the driver. It also gives me the third reference showing some Porsche Club Sport Edition. I have no idea how to distinguish this kind of caimans, but that's also incredibly interesting that the technology gives you exact model of a car in the picture. Also, it says that gender of the driver is not specified. So I bet that a general purpose technology will say that these pictures really have what you're looking for. But since we try to avoid made up answers, we thought the technology give you a negative replies as well. So basically it says that there is nothing else found. The technology is thought to give you at least 3 references to the case. So it gave you some additional ones, but it highlights that it actually is not an answer to your question. So you are going to review those images manually and see if there is indeed a male sitting in a car or not, or female or robot, right? So that's an important difference between BelkaGPT and general purpose AI. Another interesting search is here. I'm looking for pictures of minors near water bodies. The technology found me 2 pictures, a girl by the sea and a boy by a river or by a pond, not quite clear. Again, looking this kind of evidence or this kind of information manually will be quite time consuming, and I'm able to do that with just one question in BelkaGPT window. So finally, in my third example, I'm asking about discussions about storage locations. And now the third item here in the answer is audio file. So interesting that the technology can refer not just to text or pictures, but also to audio and video files. Now, when I click on this file, I see that it's transcribed and it's not in English. It says something about novo lugar para armazenar as mercadorias, which is a Portuguese language, and it says there is a translation. So it's some new place to store the goods. So actually, a few AI features are involved here. So it's not just the audio that was transcribed, but also it's somehow translated to English. It's also the meaning was extracted, and finally, this audio file was considered and found as a reply, as a suitable referencing the case to your question about storage location. So a couple of different AI facets are highlighted here, and the result looks fantastic. Okay, now how this actually works from the beginning to ending. It all starts with artifact extraction. BelkaSoft X can acquire data directly from devices and cloud. So it's computers, mobiles, tablets, desktops, laptops, even drones and even cars. So BelkaSoft is not just about AI. We have a fully fledged all-in-one digital forensic suite that can analyze devices even without any AI at all involved. It's also important to highlight that you're not bound to BelkaSoft to do your acquisitions. BelkaSoft X and BelkaGPT both support extractions from popular forensic tools, including UFED, UFG images, UFDRs, magnets, Grayshift, NCase, and many, many more. Once artifacts are extracted from BelkaSoft image or third-party image, BelkaSoft parses a wide range of evidence formats. You can see different data such as browsers, calls, chats, documents, system files, and so on and so forth. Now, The technology takes audios, pictures, videos, and text-based information and analyzes. It's not just builds the index for regular keyword search, but it also processes the data into the AI-readable knowledge base that BelkaGPT will then use to build the replies. So all the audio is converted to text, the descriptions and classifications are generated for images and videos. All the knowledge is transformed to the way that AI can then query and to build a reply in natural language. Now you can ask how long will this take? And of course, AI calculations are quite time-consuming. So the question here is if we delay investigation or speed up investigation, because the AI calculations require quite a few calculations for every artifact. So here, where BelkaGPT Hub makes a difference. Before we go to BelkaGPT Hub, let me review the requirements for BelkaGPT that runs locally. First of all, it works on both CPU and GPU. Of course, GPU is way faster. We see the performance gain as big as 60 times faster than a CPU and even bigger for modern and more powerful GPU units. But it still can work on CPU if you have to use the CPUs. For example, when I travel to conferences and to customers, I have a laptop with me, which is slightly over 1 kilogram in weight. So you can guess that it's not quite powerful. It has i5 processor inside and just 16 gigs of RAM. But the technology still works inside this box. It's painfully slow, but it works. Of course, your investigative machine is much better, much more powerful. So it will work better on even on CPU computer in your lab. So it's important for us to keep this compatibility with CPU-only machines. Now, what is Belka Hub? BelkaGPT Hub is a software infrastructure layer that lets labs share GPU resources across forensic workstations. It offloads BelkaGPT processing tasks from individual desktops to more powerful servers or workstations that are equipped with GPUs and sitting in the same local network. This way, you can keep the entire infrastructure manageable. You also cut hardware costs, and the security stays intact because everything is still running in your hands. It's still running on your infrastructure, completely offline. Nothing goes outside. So that's a local network only. It's pretty straightforward to enable BelkaGPT Hub in BelkaSoft X. Once you run the tool, you go to Settings and you navigate to BelkaGPT tab in the Settings. Here you have just two options: to run BelkaGPT fully locally or on a BelkaGPT Hub. If you decide to use a hub, you just specify the hub location. It can be either IP address in your local network, or the IP or the name of the computer, right? And also you complement it with a port that you can also select during the installation of the hub. The hub infrastructure has three components. BelkaSoft X clients on the left on my picture can be any computer in your local network, whether it's a desktop or laptop or mini computer. Now, in the middle of the picture, you see the hub itself. And on the right, you can see BelkaGPT workers. Once Belka clients extract artifacts from the case, instead of processing them locally for AI, they send the processing tasks to the hub. The hub receives this information, and it queues the processing tasks and assign workers to those tasks on the first in, first out basis. Workers handle the processing and return the results back to the hub, which delivers them back to the investigator's workstation. So once it completes all those results, like picture descriptions, classifications, detected faces, audio transcripts, and so on and so forth, goes back to your investigative computer, and you can ask BelkaSoft X in a natural language of what you have in the case. So the compute for AI happened somewhere else, not on your computer. Meanwhile, the processing power of your computer was not used, so you can use the computer for something else. You can continue working with BelkaSoft X. I just avoid asking BelkaGPT because the processing is not yet completed, but you can do searches, you can do exports, you can investigate the data in some other viewers that we have in the product, and so on and so forth. So you actually are not blocked from working with the case while the data is being processed on the hub. Let's look at what each component actually requires. The hub itself is lightweight. It's just a middleware. It's just routes tasks between clients and workers, between the BelkaSoft X instances and GPU workers. So it can run almost at any machine in your network. It doesn't need dedicated hardware, so you don't need to spend money on the hub. Workers are where the processing actually happens. You can install a worker on a single machine or spread workers across several computers on dedicated servers, on GPU-enabled workstations, or even just CPU computer that can also participate and give its own input, gives its resources towards AI calculations. So CPU are, to repeat, the CPUs are supported, but of course GPU makes a real difference, tens or hundreds times faster depending on the hardware you have. The minimum GPU hardware requirements are the same as for standalone BelkaGPT installation, so it must be a CUDA-compatible GPU with at least 12 gigs of RAM. The more the better, of course. And we support up to 8 GPUs per machine. All of those 8 can be used. Again, that's an option. You can use just 1, you can use 2, you can use 8. That's all configurable. If your budget allows, of course, we always recommend going for more VRAM. And if you're comparing GPUs that cost the same amount of money, look for newer ones. And for products with a larger number of tensor cores. Okay. Here is my home installation that you can that is very affordable, that you can start with. So that's what I installed in my home office. Since I already have a very good development machine, a desktop in my office, but it doesn't have a GPU, and I don't actually want to extend it to have a GPU inside. So I bought an Intel NUC mini computer, which is a pretty small box that sits below my monitor. The center central piece in my configuration is Gigabyte GeForce RTX 5060 with 16 gigs of VRAM. That's I think that's the most expensive item in the overall configuration. Since I have a mini computer, and of course I cannot install this card inside, it's twice as big as a box, Nuke box, I needed an enclosure to give it the power and also to give some extra ventilation. So I bought the Sonnet eGPU breakaway box, which is a pretty nice device. It's trouble-free device. I think I spent just like 10 minutes installing the card. You just open the box, install the card, connect it with a wire, and then connect the box to the mini computer with Thunderbolt wire. That's it. No drivers, no nothing. Windows immediately sees GPU, and Belka Worker also saw the GPU pretty quickly once I set up everything well. And on the bottom here, yeah, by the way, this box died yesterday, of course, when I was preparing today's presentation. I'm not sure if that's the fault of the box, or maybe there was some power cut in my electricity supply here. So I can't say that it's so very robust. So make sure you have it behind a good UPS device, because I myself witnessed that it can tolerate jumps in your electricity. But apart from that, it's very easy, convenient, and easy to install. Okay, yeah, on the bottom there is a KVM switch, which I use to switch between computers, and it's convenient because it's dual monitor, so I use both my monitors regardless on which computer I'm looking at right away. And this configuration costed me less than 1,500 euro. I think it was something about 1,200 or something like that. So it's very affordable, and I believe it's affordable to organization buyer as well. And this configuration gives me 200 times better performance than on the same computer without the Gigabyte GPU card. So it's pretty productive. Yeah, that's the box behind my monitor. So it just occupies some space, but not too much. Now, how do I install the whole infrastructure software-wise? So first, that's a single installation for both the hub and BelkaGPT worker. In most of the cases, you will start at least you will start with your trial possibly, or your first installation of BelkaGPT Hub with having the hub and the worker on the same computer. So that's why we have the first option to install both hub and worker together. You also have, of course, two other options, just installing the hub or just installing the BelkaGPT worker on the computer. If the hub is already found and installed, the software will, the installer will ask you if you want to update. So that's going to be an update of the hub. I already have the hub installed, so I'm only installing the worker, but I do this on the same computer, right? So I click next, I specify the path, and here on this screen, I let the worker know where the hub is installed. In my case, it's going to be the same computer, but if I'm installing the worker on another computer, I will need to specify where the hub lives. So it's going to be either internal IP address or the computer name. And again, the port is required. Okay, I select this computer, and It says that something is blocked. That's because I have the worker already running on this computer, the previous version. And oops, yeah, I need to close the worker. In this version, the worker is a console application. This will help you to debug if you have any issues with the installation. The next version, we will wrap it into the service. So it's going to be easier to reinstall. We'll not ask you to close it. Everything will be automatic. But the console version also has its own benefits because it's easy to see what was wrong if any issue arises. Okay, so once I closed the worker, everything completed successfully. And on the last screen, I run the worker. That's the console applications application. What I see here, it says CUDA compatible GPU isn't found, running on CPU. That's not what we wanted, right? We wanted to use my very good GPU card. So what happens here is on my second computer, I did the CUDA installation into some environments for Visual Studio Code and inside Anaconda, so it's not visible to my worker. Also, a frequent problem met by our customers that they want to install the most and the latest version of CUDA, which is not necessarily the best. BelkaSoft works with version 12 of CUDA, and if you install version 13, it will not be visible, unfortunately. So what we do, we go to developer.nvidia.com, we go to 12 series of CUDA tool. We didn't yet tested 12.9.2, so I installing 12.9.1. Select every requested option here. What is the operating system? What is the version? What is the installer type? And so on and so forth. Okay, downloading the executable file. And running it once the download completes. Okay, once it's unpacked and run, it will show you this kind of interface. It does some system checks. You agree to the agreement. Express installation is okay. You just disregard some Visual Studio warning. You don't need it for BelkaGPT Hub. And you just wait once NVIDIA installer completes. On the finish page, you don't need to launch anything. Whatever you installed already is enough. Now I rerun the worker. And now it says that it's found, it's started, and it doesn't say that GPU wasn't found. So it actually runs on GPU now, which is what we wanted to do. Now, how you make the hub visible from another computer? I would say that in 99.9% of network configurations, it will not work out of the box because you'll need to allow other computers to see this one. So how to do that? You go to services on the computer with the hub, and you find the RabbitMQ. This is a middleware that we use for routing of messages across computers. You go to properties and you find a path to executable. So some Erlang, OTP, blah, 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 which you have to copy. Then you go to your firewall, Windows Defender firewall, if you use that one, with advanced security options, not just the firewall, right? because you are going to create a rule. We need to create an inbound rule. So you click on inbound rules first and to new rule. And then you specify whether it's, what is your network, whether it's a private or domain network. So I skipped this point in my slides. And then you say that that's going to be a program rule type. You allow this program to listen to specified port and TCP traffic. Notice that you need to change the name here, not ERL-SRV, but just ERL. So that's important. And that's it. Once you specify that, everything will be visible. If you did this correctly, a remote BelkaSoft X will show you that green circle next to the BelkaGPT hub status. Okay, you may ask, Yuri, but that's easily doable from PowerShell. You can use PowerShell, you can use any kind of script to make this rule programmatically. Why do we have to do that? There are two reasons of why we don't do that for you out of the box. First, not everyone is using Defender. Many of you have different protection software, antiviruses, whatever. So that's going to be managed by different software, right? And the second is that we are not feeling comfortable to amend, to change something what is connected to security of your infrastructure. So we think that's the proper way to do that is that you do that on your computer. Again, your domain user may not be allowed to do this kind of tweaks on your system. So maybe that's going to be a system administrator that has the power, the permissions to do this kind of tweaks for network traffic. Okay. So what kind of configurations we can see when you use BelkaGPT Hub with workers? So number one, on the left, when you have separate desktops and both hub and worker sitting on one machine together. So you have just one worker and the hub also on the same computer. So I would say that all the trial versions that you are going to run will be like that, number one. Number two, you can also merge the hub and run it on your investigative computer. For example, if you are just one-man shop or your laboratory has just one digital forensic investigator, it's still feasible, it still can be useful to have BelkaGPT Hub if you want to route your AI calculations to another computer, not your investigative workstation, right? Number three, when your organization or your lab needs to grow, you can install multiple workers. If you have many GPU-enabled computers, that's your choice. And Hub can sit on one of the investigator computers, so you don't need a dedicated computer for that. And it's easy to scale. You just add more workers here if you need, and it's easy to scale down. You just disconnect the computer from the infrastructure by just shutting down BelkaSoft workers. You don't need to do anything else. It's important to mention that Hub, you don't register anything on the Hub. So to add a new worker is easy. You just install the worker and give it the address of the Hub. That's it. So to add a new worker, to remove the worker, you just add the worker or remove it. So you don't need to tweak neither the hub nor development or investigative computers. Finally, the number 4, for most major organizations, you'll possibly have multiple agents, multiple workers, and a hub sitting on a separate computer, especially if you are not comfortable with having traffic that goes through your computer somewhere. So you want to avoid the situation when one investigative computer talks to another investigative computer that talks to workers. In this case, you can use any computer for the hub, and this way your investigative computer isn't tweaked to, it doesn't have opened for ports for incoming traffic from other computers in your network. So possibly this is the most major configuration for you. Right. So now I have a question for you. What do you think, if you use this kind of infrastructure, what can be your planned setup? Whether you just have one worker and a hub on the same computer, or you have hub along with Belkasoft X if you are a one-man shop with a single worker. Maybe you have several workers with hub on one of the computers, or you have a full decentralization. By the way, those of you who already have GPU farms, that's a great way to save money. Many of Belkasoft customers already have good computers to break passwords. And this could be monster machines with like a number of powerful GPUs. And in this case, you can just put a worker or several workers into this computer, just to reuse this power of those computers. They are not busy with breaking passwords. Okay. So let me wait for a couple of seconds more while you're still voting. And we will go to final slides. So we have 33 for the hub and worker on the same machine. No one selected full decentralization. Interesting. Okay, so now what's about the price of those components? BelkaGPT costs just $1 or €1 short of 1,000. So it's under $1,000 a euro, depending on the region. And again, it's a module of Belkasoft X, which can be built into Belkasoft X. The second year is much more affordable. I believe it's some $450 to renew it. BelkaGPT Hub is more expensive. It starts from 15,000 minus $1 or euro per hub. But what's important about BelkaGPT Hub is that we don't charge you per worker. So the price only depends on the number of concurrent users you have. You can have one worker, you can have 100 workers. The price will not change. So it all depends on number of users. To get accurate code, please contact sales@belkasoft.com and specify your planned setup. Also, BelkaGPT Hub is not available on our website to download, but if you'd like to test it, again, ask my colleagues at sales@belkasoft.com, and they will send you information of how to download the installation for you to test the entire configuration. Again, so far, we will give you the Windows installer, so you'll be able to install the trial version on the Windows machine. But we also have the Linux Docker which for some organizations is easier to deploy. Just install it one and then copy across different computers if you need that. But for that, we don't have an installer. So if you decide to buy the tool, we'll help you to install the Linux Docker into your infrastructure. So the trial is only on Windows, but commercial license will work on both Windows and Linux. So some final thoughts. AI found its place in many industries in our world, and it's having some interesting times nowadays for digital forensics. There is still a lot of disagreement about that. But in the end of the day, I think that it will be widely adopted just because we cannot ignore benefits that it can bring to the table. Of course, we will have some legislation, some recommendations, and bigger institutes and standardizations bodies will somehow develop the rules of how we use it. But at the end of the day, I think we'll somehow adopt AI for digital forensics as well. Cloud approach, do-it-yourself approach, I think they are not viable for digital forensics, at least at this point. So we really need to have a digital forensics specific AI. BelkaGPT and BelkaGPT Hub are your tools that enable you to run everything entirely offline. Both technologies are developed with digital forensics and cyber incident response in mind. So they will live inside your forensic workflow. They have the same data that you see inside your digital forensic tool, which is BelkaSoft X. So you are fully in control. What you see, where it's stored, when it, where and when it is processed, right? It's easy to scale up with the help of BelkaGPT Hub by just adding new workers or new computers with GPUs. So I think that both technologies can bring you lots of value if configured correctly. And it's not going to cost you a fortune because you can reuse your existing infrastructure for those technologies. Okay, I hope that my presentation was useful for you. You can learn more about BelkaGPT and BelkaGPT Hub using the links on this screen. And I would also like to remind that currently we are running SQLite queries course, which is completely free until 15th of July 2026. After that, it will cost you $999. So please take the chance to participate in this course. Certificate and 6 CPE points will be granted to everyone who completes the course.